environment. So,
Chalkboard, desk, the homework, the book. The day begins and ends when the bells ring. For centuries now, this has defined what all of us think about school. We have come to believe that this is the one way that students will learn. And with that belief, we have taught all of our students in pretty much the exact same way. But the world has changed, and what it means to be ready to succeed in the future has also changed. That means our model of learning must change. It's happening now, and it needs to happen even more, in more places, for all students, especially for those for whom the current system...
sorry. May I know what happened?
Isn't working. Gone are the days when some students can excel and others just get by. Our society needs all kids to excel at high levels. And to make this happen, we need to engage our students like never before. This is student-centered learning. It incorporates a student's skills and interests into the learning process, making the experience more personalized and involving the student in his or her own future. What makes this work? There are 4 key principles of student-centered learning. Number 1, learning is personalized. Personalized learning happens when teachers know students, have strong relationships with them, and can meet students where they are in their development. Number 2, learning is competency-based. Learning is about the information and skills a student has mastered, not just moving through a curriculum. In a competency-based system, students can proceed at their own pace in every subject, enabling teachers to respond to individual needs, interests, and challenges. Number 3, learning happens anytime, anywhere. Students will often make important discoveries about themselves and the world around them when they learn beyond the traditional school day and outside the traditional school walls. Learning doesn't start and stop when the bells ring. And number 4, the last key to student-centered learning is students take ownership. Don't make a decision about students without students. They play a direct role in their own success, actively engaging with the process to ensure the impact is lasting and meaningful. For student-centered learning to work, all 4 of these principles must work together. This is not an a la carte approach. It's reimagining education so it works for all students. The fact is, our world is changing. And with the latest in child development research, we know better than ever before how children and young adults learn. The facts are there, and they point to the need for a new system of learning designed around each student. And when this student becomes stronger and more focused, all of us will benefit from a new generation that is contributing to our communities and our world in so many ways. This
is student-centered learning. As we all know, in our likelihood and in the present system, the education system is going on a paradigm shift. And the school districts and the school function, the whole education landscape is undergoing a change. And it is slowly moving towards this student-centered learning. So it is high time that we need to look into ourselves and come on to this mode. So let's all get on to this paradigm shift. And how do we do that? That's what we are going to see.
Student-centered learning. Chalkboard.
So when we talk about the education paradigm shift, the changes, let's have little comparison of exactly what is exactly existing and what is required. How can we bridge the gap? So when we know exactly where are we now and where are we moving ahead, it will be easy for us to bridge the gap. So in the traditional model, what happens? Isolated subject disciplines are there in different subjects like English, math, science, social, history, etc., etc. And the focus is on explicitly, it's on teaching isolating pieces of information. just science as science for sake, science sake, maths as maths sake. There is no integration. Okay. Moving ahead, like what happens when it comes to the examination, it's only chalk talk method. That is, the teacher will be teaching, the students will be learning from the teacher. So, and the uniform instruction for even a heterogeneous classroom. Heterogeneous is to a classroom of mixed abilities. Students have different levels of learning. That is definitely, every classroom is a heterogeneous classroom. So when it comes to the evaluation, there is only one single right question for which only one right answer. So this is what is a traditional model which is existing. Now, when it comes to the integrated personalized model, what we are looking at, it's going to be merged disciplines, disciplinary. In the sense, science related to maths, maths related to English, finally, when it comes to the presentation, English, and English related to the past, present, and future relating to history and the geography. So this kind of interdisciplinary learning approach, that's what we are looking at. In other words, as in CBSE, as CBSE is stressing, STEM-based approach. When we talk about STEM-based, science comes, maths comes, and also art integrated approach, and everything takes on place there. I don't know who is this. Ma'am, please stop sharing your screen. Siksha ma'am. Siksha ma'am, you need to stop sharing your screen. Okay, so when we have integrated approach with the focus on student-centered, on inclusive strengths and weaknesses and the shortcomings of the students, what we do, we can modify our projects, we can modify our assignments, we can modify the tasks and also our reports for different levels of learners. So with the focus of student-centered learning, with personalized approach of learning, we can tailor make it, the learning pathways, allowing the student to explore the curiosity at their levels such that self-directed assessment for the collaborative peer feedback. Am I doing it right? Have I learned it right? If at all, I need to, if I've not performed well. So that is totally, in this process, what happens, the student takes the responsibility of the whole learning process. We don't need to tell them, go study, study, study. They themselves will take a responsibility of their own learning and they will study. And if at all any practice has to be done, they have to go back and work on it time and again. They will go back and work on it anytime, anywhere, such that according to their own interest, but the objective or the rationale will be met with. So this is what the difference, and definitely Learn by Chapter incorporates it so well. When you start using Learn by Chapter resources, you will come to know that. As the term goes, personalized student-centered learning model is the tailored learning approach, which is very inclusive of all student needs, strength, interests, and competencies, and it allows the student to explore their curiosity. So all engaged learners find the resources, help them in the learning pathway, and they not only learn in the process of exploration, but gain relevant experience trailing different processes. As a result in this process, they discover themselves, find their own interests, find their own strengths and weaknesses. If at all anything is not suiting, they work on metacognition, they adopt the plan B structure, find approaches that will suit them much better. But to do this, does our learning content support this urge to learn in terms of more well-integrated, innovative curriculum with its planning components? Do we plan our lesson that way with all the resources which are required? If at all we need to do that, how to do this? That's what we are going to see. Thought to ponder, break the convention. First, come out of that conventional thought. Traditional education model has always viewed one's ability to find one right answer to the one right question. It is always believed to be uncommon to encourage the students to look beyond the answer. And this is always shadowed by the authority of the traditional schooling system and teacher being the boss in the classroom. Instead, welcome the new with Learn by Chapter. By contrast, personalized student learning guidance With a self-directed and integrated learning approach, impetus the development of oneself, the student, and the creativity, not only the student but also the teacher, because the teacher is also evolving in the process, getting to know the students, finding out the resources for them, implementing or adopting new strategies to make the students learn. So they are also evolving in this process, and ultimately continuous process of learning is going on, not only for the teacher but not only for the student but also for the teacher. These methods inspire and empower the learners to come up with their ways of approaching and solving their conventions or the challenges. So they live, they learn, and they grow in a collaborative way that every student's preference is taken as a tool to evaluate the learning and its impact on life. So when we talk about integrated learning, what does it exactly mean? To putting the parts together. Instead of working at different stations as max station, science station, social science station, and English station or Hindi station or the language station, etc., to put these into one form such that to bring all the elements together and combine them to the whole and present it like a cup of coffee, which is to the requirement or the interest or the likeness of the learner. So in this integrated learning, where the learner brings together the prior knowledge, the past knowledge, what he knows with the experiences to support the new knowledge and experiences. By doing this, the learners draw skills and apply them to the new adventures at the more complex level. So in this, definitely Learn by Chapter plays a very big role, because when they are bringing the prior knowledge, due with our diagnostic assessment, you will be able to guide the student exactly where they are within the concept. If at all they are not able to perform in the in the exact current topic, if they are not able to achieve or understand this particular topic in today's lesson, they will relate it, the diagnostic assessment will relate it to the previous knowledge, what the child has, what the knowledge has, related to exactly where you are, bridge these gap, which is a huge gap which is there, and take it forward to the future. That is, take it forward to the achievement, the actual achievement. I mean, the success criteria of that particular lesson. That is KWL chart. That is what I know, what I want to learn, and what I need to achieve. So the integrated learning provides the intercurricular opportunities for students to demonstrate their knowledge and the skills across multiple subjects. So this higher education concept forms the integrated curriculum development program, encourage children education professionals to promote activities that merge as subject disciplines. So they explore the connection between the prior learning and the new learning, and they relate it and to come up with the undiscovered content. So when we do that, exactly how does the brain work is that the brain does not work in different system or different compartments. It works in a more integrated form. The brain does not separate or categorize the learning in information in distinct silos, means different stations as maths, reading, geography, but it works in a more combined, wired format. So the learners draw the prior skills to support the new adventures at the more complex levels. And speaking and listening, say for example, speaking and listening are both receptive. Taught in isolation, cognitive links are being severed, and taught in integrated form, students contextualize it with the real world. Mapping or bridging, what I learned in maths is more related to this, and what I learned in geography is more related to this. Or when they are learning geography, they will apply maths. It's more kind of a integrated learning. So this integrated learning exactly helps to relate it, help the learner to map the whole subjects together without uh, having a problem. So this integrated multiple learning domains celebrate diversity in the classrooms. How Learn by Chapter does it is by connecting the way the brain learns. Say, for example, let's take a topic of water cycle, that is in science. Instead of
Ma'am,
cheating,
screen sharing has stopped, ma'am.
okay,
Okay.
1 minute. Sorry, dear. Oh, no, what is that? Okay, let me try to share it one more time now. And we'll go from exactly where we left. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. Now my screen is
Ma'am.
Yes, visible, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, dear. Thank you. So, sorry. I think we were here. Yes. So now integrating the multiple learner domains, celebrating diversity in the classroom, how Learn by Chapter does it. So Learn by Chapter connects the way the brain learns with the topic very clearly. So if we take the topic of water cycle, instead of teaching it as a chapter in isolation, Learn by Chapter integrates multiple learning domains. Say, for example, if it is science as a subject, understand evaporation, condensation, precipitation. That's the concept. So while reading, read a life story about a village facing water scarcity. Take a water scarcity and talk about exactly what is happening. Why is the water scarcity happening? Because there is no rain. So you bring the concept of water cycle there and calculate the daily household water consumption in that area, and the rainfall data is being mapped. So relating it to the maths and speaking present ideas on how to conserve water at home and in school, making them more responsible citizens. So by adding high order questions, high order thinking questions, it provides hints and links concept to climate change and sustainability. The result is that the student brain creates connected neural pathways rather than storing isolated facts. Instead of merely memorizing it as a water cycle, like water evaporates, it forms clouds, precipitation happens and then comes down as water, it goes to the water bottle. This everybody know. Maximum our students at this present stage, they draw the water cycle or they bring a project. Instead of that, if we relate it, if we make our lesson more interesting like this, it will really help the learner that they have mastered or they have used the skill of reading, calculating, communicating, analyzing, and applying to the concept to the real life situation. This is how exactly the brain works and the learner also learns. So, Learn by Chapter doesn't teach the subjects separately. It connects the knowledge, skills, and real life application, mirroring how the human brain builds lasting understanding. So, moving ahead, if we need to do that exactly as I started, what we need to know, you should know your guests much better to give them the exact cup of tea or a coffee which is required according to that taste. So the first step is know thy neighbor, knowing your students very well. If you need to know the students very well, you should have a test which exactly tells you very clearly what are their strengths and weaknesses. This is possible with diagnostic assessments. So Learn by Chapter supports you with the Learn by Chapter diagnostic assessment. In one test, you will be able to tell exactly where the child is and where he has to reach. So we talk about making learning relevant in our classroom, and our first step begins with getting to know your students. This Learn by Chapter does very well. So having known the learner, having known exactly what is required, what are the different ways to reach there? That is, we will use learning models for the respective learners, knowing them exactly very well, and then we can move ahead. If you know your enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear for the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, every victory that you gain will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither nor the enemy nor yourself, you will definitely succumb in every battle. So what is required is knowing your students, know thy neighbor is the basic rule of the classroom. Having known that, we can see how many learning different models are there. Don't worry about the big names which are there. Already we are all doing it. We are just giving you the scientific reference names and the phenomena. One is the core learning model. That is, in this, the learning style is known as the experiential learning theory. And second is the Gregor learning model. In this, the model keeps a deep way the mind works as per the model. The dominant quadrant mind is working. Then format learning model is more the extension of the code model, is about talking about the different learning styles and being imaginative, analytical, dynamic, etc. Then VARK learning model, as you can see, V for visual, A for auditory, R for reading and writing, and K is kinesthetic. That's what is VARK learning model. It's more related to multiple intelligences, which many of you may be aware of. Herman brain dominance is again a model, which is a mechanism used for learning preferences by individuals. Honey-Mumford model and Filder-Silverman learning model. All these models, which we can just incorporate in any of the lesson plan in different way as we can do according to our strength, according to our capacities, and we can implement it. So navigating with the learning styles exactly. Code is more exponential. That is 4-stage cycle, concrete, reflective, abstract, and active, in which the students become accommodators, assimilators, divergers, and convergers. And what is more kind of a sensory learning model, that is visual, auditory, kinesthetic, reading, and kinesthetic, which we can use it exactly according to the classroom situation. And as I told you, mind quadrants working on categorizing the sequential random from concrete to abstract. So format is extension of core, that is making them more imaginative, analytical, dynamic, using common sense, asking questions, asking more questions, kindling their critical analytical skills and thinking abilities. So Filder-Silverman model is information grasping. It's more kind of a research work, which you would like to use it in a classroom. You can use it. With Honey-Mumford is more kind of an action-oriented with practical adaptation and experiential learning. Now going in detail to getting to an idea of it. With the concrete learning, in the core learning style model, in the first stage, the learner either experiences something new or goes into a variation of the old experience. For learning anything concrete of a new concept. Reflective observation. So what they do in the next stage, the learner affects the said experience. What he has learned as a concept, he will try to relate it, understand it with the experience is completely based on the learner's personal interpretation. If the learner wants to learn, they will make this effort to understand. Otherwise, they will not. Then abstract conceptualization. Based on the understanding, the learner goes through the abstract conceptualization in which either new ideas are formed or the old ones are modified. Either they will get the concept, understand it, apply it in their own abilities or according to their knowledge, modify it and present it, or they will just leave it. Active experimentation, sometimes the fourth stages, they will go on in bringing something very new, old wine in a new bottle, they will try to apply it and bring it. So this, you can check exactly which of the learners in your classroom will be able to do it. In the first stage, they are only accommodators. The second stage, they are assimilators. Third stage, they are divergers because they're creating something new. Then convergers. That is, they are bringing something what is applicable to them. So mapping it exactly with this, concrete learning is happening with reflective observation. Then they map it with abstract conceptualization, finally bringing it to the experiment. So if this is applicable for you, you can use that model. You can modify it. Format learning model, definitely, as I told you, it's on the learning styles of the learner, whether they are imaginative, analytical, dynamic, or using only common sense. So they use these learning and experiences under the category exactly how it really suits them. But if these kind of learners, or if you're going to use it, you can use it only for those students who are very conceptual based, but relating it to the application point of it, they use only common sense for learning. So in that case, exactly, third one, the VARK model, visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic, more related to the multiple intelligences. So they visual means you can use color codes with them, diagram, flow charts, etc. And they normally listen and respond to test. And these students are more detailed. Those who are visual learners, they are always detail oriented and they are very tidy. Auditory learners, when it comes to that, they articulate and read very slowly but memorizes very well. They use word association and read aloud and discuss. With but don't force them for prolonged quiet reading. They will not be able to do it. Then coming to the kinesthetic, they are very restless in classrooms and lectures, basically. So use more kind of field trips and role play models for them. So they are actively involved in that process, and don't administer long essay tests for them, which is not suitable. So reading and writing, focus on written facts and concepts, providing pre-existing written ideas and journals, avoid visual and verbal integration. So the WARC learning model, very clearly, as you might be knowing, they are mostly based on the multiple intelligence with visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic learners. So which way you want to do it, you can apply it. So Grigoc learning model is kind of a deep way as the mind works exactly. As per this model, it works on the quadrant of the mind, and normally it involves more kind of a mental ability, mental activity, where the student learns and make use of the sensory activities that really help them. And definitely these people will be able to memorize anything very easily and interpret it in their own language. So if you find anybody who is very good at rote learning process, you can administer to them. And Felder-Silverman learning model is a fact on which every learner, every individual has their own preference when it comes to the process of grasping the new information. So they have multiple preferences. They will be active and reflective learners, as the name suggests, whereas depending upon the method of study, exactly how they want to study, and they will always prefer hands-on activities, and sequentially, global learners prefer organized and systematic learning. So they always prefer for this Silverman learning model. And visual and verbal learners go supporting tools such as words and graphics. Then Honey-Mumford model is active learners doing practically to gain knowledge. Anybody who is very practical to gain knowledge, you can relate it to them. And the learners who want to learn the existing facts and figures falls into this category, more kind of history-oriented people. These learners reflect on what they see and learn from it. And sometimes they conceptualize the experiment and the ideas before they learn. Like some very curious students in the classroom, before you take the science class or the science, they will go experiment and they will come and relate it with you. So those kind of students, you can just put them in this group. So now, when it comes to that, how effectively you can incorporate it with Learn by Chapter is that Learn by Chapter, advantage of Learn by Chapter is it does not subscribe to one learning style. It integrates the strength of all the major models that we have discussed, and you can do it. Say, for example, experiential learning, that students learn, practice, receive instant feedback, reflect, retry, completing the course experiential learning cycle with every chapter. So when it comes to Learn by Chapter, every single chapter follow this process. Learn, practice, receive instant feedback, reflect, and retry. So taking about the WARC model, obviously, it is all our lesson plans are related to these multiple intelligences. And so you can see that it allows the learner to engage through the multiple sensory pathways. Grigoc mind styles means AI adaptation explain the learners who think sequentially and conceptually, offering both step-by-step guidance in big picture understanding. Format learning cycle, that is every chapter answers why is it happening, what is happening, how is it happening, and what if it doesn't happen when it comes to the application point of it. So definitely this really map it. And Felder-Silverman, that students experience active problem solving, reflective feedback, and visual content, verbal explanations, and sequential to go learning pathways depending upon their needs exactly. So LBC supports the activists through challenges, reflectors through review and feedback, theorists through concept clarity, pragmatists through real-world application and competency-based question. So the LBC's unique advantage is that it does not label students by single learning style. Instead, it personalizes the instruction by blending multiple evidence-informed learning approaches, ensuring that every learner can understand, practice, apply, and master each subject in the way that it suits best for them. Rather than asking student to adapt to one teaching style, Learn by Chapter adopts learning to every student's style. So that's how it is. So with that, if you're planning to change your teaching learning content and the evaluation pattern, what we need to do, we need to adopt personalized student learning with tailored learning approach that can be adopted by integrating multiple intelligence model in our lesson. So it provides the 8 different potential ways or pathways to learning. So if we do that, the first step is that personalized learning loop should be developed. Identify your students, know your students to uncover the competencies and interests, categorize the student and their learning styles to align your resources, your supplements, whether it is worksheets or assignment sheets or projects or the questions even. So categorize them according to the different levels so that you will be able to assign the tasks accordingly. Step 3, modify the teaching methodologies to cater directly to the identified needs. Monitor the teaching learning preferences to facilitate real-time interventions so that you can reflect on it, review it, go back to it and give your feedback with a consolidated student data and assess the evaluate the pathway by giving the maximum benefit to the learner. If we need to do that, definitely Learn by Chapter helps you in every way in the whole assessment pattern. So now coming to modifying your lesson plans or your learning resources with multiple intelligence, as you know, the art of learning is the game of life. Adopt personalized student-centered learning with self-directed learning approach because definitely one size doesn't fit all. So the theory of multiple intelligence, there are 8 different types of multiple intelligences that you might be knowing already. Logical, mathematical, visual, spatial, bodily, kinesthetic, music, linguistic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. So moving ahead to naturalistic, these are the different multiple intelligences. Thank you. So when it comes to the naturalistic learner, he loves animals, plants, nature, understands nature, world, biologists, etc. So again, it stopped. I don't know what's the problem. Sorry, dear. So naturalistic, linguistic, visual, spatial, kinesthetic, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and logical. So when it comes to that, how to identify the students in the classroom, which style are they learning? Say, for example, let's take few examples. If it is kinesthetic and tactile learning style, remember, how do they learn exactly? They normally exhibit these following characteristics. They will remember by manipulating things, using tools, etc. They will enjoy concept demonstration. They will be able to, oh my God. Okay. They will be able to master the skills through practice and imitation, benefits from hands-on teaching techniques, tends to collect items. They will be normally weak in spellings. They use their hands to communicate and talk fast. They will benefit more from role-playing situations, that is doing drama and these things in a classroom situation. Enjoys having music in the background while working or studying. Takes few frequent breaks while studying. Enjoy art and craft science experiments. Become very restless during long lectures. And they will learn their best when able to move freely. So if you have kinesthetic learners, if you have identified kinesthetic learners, what all you can adopt in a teaching learning pathway is that reinforce practicing techniques to them, demonstrate a principle or a concept very clearly in front of them as a stage activity, engaging hands-on activity, encourage the student studying in a position is more comfortable rather than a traditional desk table chair setup, as we have seen the last week how you can modify the classroom, going for field trips, drills, memory exercises while walking and exercising, miming and acting out key points for memory enforcement. This is very important. Jot down notes while they are reading and use beats or rhythm to explain information or memorize information. Avoid distraction during lectures. making the model demonstrate the primary concept of material that you are studying or reinforce the material, recording class lectures and then listening to them. So our podcast definitely help these kind of learners. So if you have auditory learners, if you have identified learning auditory learners, how to identify them is they're frequently talkative in class. Information usually has very little relevance to them until it is heard. They prefer presenting older or oral reports rather than written reports. They are able to follow verbal directions better than written directions, tends to memorize well. They will be able to remember the names well, prefer listening to the news, and does not automatically understand maps and diagrams or graphs. They will enjoy speaking with others. They are good at foreign languages normally. They repeat the information such as phone numbers very correctly. They read very slowly, but tends to be a very articulate speaker and unable to be quiet for a longer time. So if you have identified auditory learners, how you can modify your teaching is read the information aloud while studying, ask questions and enjoy students to ask questions. Watch videos, use the word association techniques to remember facts, organize class discussions where more noise is being there, record directions and notes, avoid auditory distractions, make study groups so that they prefer learning in groups, make songs and rhymes to go along with the pertinent material that you're using in the classroom, use rhyming schemes to recall dates and names, facts, etc. So write step-by-step sentence form and then read them aloud to them. So the third category example that we are taking is a visual learner who tend to exhibit these characteristics, feels frustrated when unable to take notes, can remember precisely where the information is located on the page, must have the quiet place to study, having a difficulty in following lectures that are wrong, tend to be detail-oriented, typically very tidy and organized person, often asks verbal directions when they are to be repeated, concentrates better with a clear line of sight to visual aids that are being used. So if you have visual learners, you can modify your pedagogy with giving very written, with clarity written directions, utilize diagrams and flowcharts, use color codes, encourage note taking rather than writing key points, encourage copying what is on the board, and then show videos, use highlighters to make important points in the notes, utilize illustrations to remember important material, use visual metaphors to associate the relevant content, write down explanation from points that are difficult. So preferred styles will be SAS, maps, and diagram, and they cannot respond and learn and respond. So multiple intelligence dashboard, these are the three different examples that we are trying to give is that, but when you talk about multiple intelligence, there are 8 different types exactly, where it is more kind of a naturalist, relating it to the natural world, musical, where they prefer in a musical form of learning, logical and mathematics, who is a number-friendly person, interpersonal, who responds well with others, kinesthetic person who excels in tasks, very hyperactive, activity-based tasks, visual and spatial, who is very artistic and spatially perspective, linguistic, use words very effectively, interpersonal, reflective, and inner directed. So this multiple intelligence provide 8 different potential pathways to learning with traditional logic and linguistic instruction fields. So learn by chapter helps you by incorporating these multiple intelligences in their lesson plan, and every lesson plan is supported with the multiple intelligence ability. So that you can start, you will come to know exactly Learn by chapter, and you enroll yourself for Learn by chapter. How it supports the multiple pathways to learning to engage every learner in the content and also match their strength. So instead of teaching every student the same way, Learn by chapter provides varied learning experiences that are linked to different intelligences. How it supports linguistic example, the student can learn through guided explanation, chapter summaries, reading passages, descriptive questions, vocabulary building, language-rich discussions that strengthen the comprehension and communication. So we are already taking care of the linguistic learners. Logical and mathematical, it presents a competency-based hot assertion and reason, case-based PISA-style questions that develop reasoning, analytical thinking, problem solving, and mathematical application. Visual and spatial, the concepts are explained using animations, diagrams, concept maps, infographics, flowcharts, timelines, interactive visual representations as videos and audios and podcasts, making abstract ideas easier to understand. Bodily kinesthetic for science and math chapters, LBC recommends classroom experiments integrated with the STEM activities, model construction, role play, hands-on investigations, allowing students to learn by doing. Musical, audio learning, chapter postcards, pronunciation support, rhythmic revision, auditory reinforcement help the students to learn the best through listening and sound patterns. Interpersonal, teacher uses LBC quizzes, project ideas, debates, think and pair share activities, peer teaching, and collaborative problem solving tasks to promote teamwork and communication. Intrapersonal, personalized dashboards with diagnostic reports, mastery tracking records, self-reflection on reviews with generated learning recommendation, empower students to set their own goals, take the responsibility of their own learning, monitor the progress, and become self-directed learners. When it comes to the naturalistic, environmental science chapters encourage field observations, biodiversity studies, sustainability projects, weather recording, community-based investigations that connect learning to the natural world. All these are done in a much more easier way such that the teacher will not have the hassle of preparing everything for them. So it is all there in the portal. Only thing is you need to register, become LBC member and start using them. How it supports the teacher? It first of all, it helps the teacher a lot with the preparation time. And when it comes to the actual classroom situation, helps the teacher to identify the learner's strength and learning gaps through diagnostic assessment, giving them personalized instruction based on their individual readiness and progress. Because from the diagnostic assessment, you will know your students much better. So you will be able to modify according to the individual readiness and the progress. Using multiple ways to teach the same concept of visual, auditory, textual, and experiential. Supplies competency-based questions and projects and classroom activity for not each and every chapter, each and every topic. So offers real-time analytics to guide intervention and enrichment. How it benefits the students? Learn through the pathway that suits them the better. Develop confidence by building on their strengths. Strengthen the weakness areas through personalized support and the reports. Applying in authentic real-world context, progress towards mastery at their own pace. Learn at your own time, at your own pace. So definitely every student will be happy in doing this, and every student, every teacher will be happy in this process. Thereby, we are not just reforming the education space, but we are contributing to the happiness index of the country. Learn by chapter recognize that there is no single word to learn. By integrating the text, visual, and audio, adaptive practices, AI guidance, also collaboration, hands-on activities, and reflective learning. Learn by chapter transforms every chapter into a personalized learning experience where every student has multiple pathways to success. So it personalizes on the whole the teaching learning by engaging all the 8 intelligences, ensuring that every learner can understand, apply, and master concepts through their unique strengths. So when we do that, exactly, we'll be able to satisfy the linguistic, logical, kinesthetic, spatial, intrapersonal, musical, natural, the multifaceted assessment pattern helps them, the evaluation, shine a light on the hard work in all the areas. So the thing is that the main idea is that it does not stop only helping the teaching learning pattern, but also in the assessment. How it helps the assessment? Learn by chapter philosophy of personalized and inclusive learning. So Learn by Chapter primarily delivers AI-driven chapter-wise learning and competency-based assessment. It enables the teachers to assess the learners through multiple modes rather than solely on traditional examination. Because linguistic means students will be able to answer descriptive questions, explain concepts through aided AI-guided responses, and complete chapter summaries and improve communication through written reflections and oral learning support. Logical means it provides a competency-based, case-based assertion reason with HOTS, higher order thinking skills, and PISA-style questions that assess analytical reasoning, problem solving, and logical thinking rather than just memorization. And also the feedback is given. Every now and then the student can modify or go back and come back again. It is always relating to the past, present, and the future. Kinesthetic, after learning the chapter like Simple Mission, LBC recommends hands-on classroom activities, experiment STEM projects, model building tasks, and teacher can use these as the practical application of concept. I've just taken one example. Spatial, with interactive diagrams, concept maps, flowcharts, animations, graphs, visual presentation that help the student demonstrate the understanding through visual interpretation and organization of ideas. Then interpersonal, teacher uses LBC quizzes, case studies, and project prompts like Think, Parent, Share, group discussion, peer teaching, debates, collaborative problem-solving activities, encouraging communication and teamwork. Interpersonal means personalized dashboard for each and every student, where the learning goal is being set and monitored with every progress, reflecting on the strengths and weaknesses that independently plan the improvement strategies, fostering the self-regulated learning. So definitely the audio learning modules of the chapter podcast, rhythmic memory techniques, and the audio revision support the learners who can retain concepts effectively through the musical way or the auditory reinforcement. And the chapters of ecosystem, whether biodiversity, whether sustainability, it helps the students to conduct local observation, conduct environmental data, document findings, and connect the classroom concepts to the real world, such that learn by chapter recognize every learner's demonstrates understanding differently. By combining these driven diagnostic, competency-based assessment, audio learning technologies, visual scaffolding, collaborating activities with projects and reflective practices, LBC enables schools to assess not only students what they know, but how they think, how they apply, how they communicate, how they collaborate, how they grow in the process of learning. That is also being mapped. And learn by chapter assess the multiple dimensions of learning, not just as academic achievement, but communication, reasoning, creativity, collaboration, reflection, real-world application, making assessments a truly personalized and inclusive. So with this, we will be able to definitely address the different diversity of the learning styles in a heterogeneous classroom, such that making it very easy and happy situation for all. So with that, exactly what we need to do, we have to integrate when we know your students, when you know your concept, when you have modified your teaching methodology, when you have modified your assessment, we have to check exactly how it is aligning with the curriculum integration and also the personal learning. So this integration is very, very important. Say, for example, the learning comprehension explores in a curriculum integration, it explores the diverse reading materials across journals. But exactly with the personalized learning, it creates the depictions of shapes and specific scales. With the integrated subjects of language, art, and science and geography, that we don't stop there, we integrate even maths and geometry to it. With engaged intelligences, definitely with actually not only with the only learning process, but also with the assessments. So it becomes a total comprehensive approach while scaling integration to the real world application from the classroom to simulations or the workshops or the virtual conferences or the virtual simulations that you're taking up with applied projects and competitions, student-led enterprises and entrepreneurships, and the competitions that can be thought about, service learning, field work, and in terms of student exchange programs, internships, and the practical cooperative education with totally it contributes to the work-related learning. So definitely a transdisciplinary integration, organize the overall curriculum along with the student questions and developing the life skills that are applied in the real world concepts. This is how Learn by Chapter help you. In this process, not everything is going to be a success. Everywhere there is going to be a look back. So with metacognition and self-regulation, it provides an instructional blueprint for the student independence. So they set their own targets, they set their own progress, they map, they monitor their own progress with cognitive architecture. Exactly. That is thinking about exactly what worked was, what I know, knowing what knows one and doesn't know, self-monitoring, predicting the task performance, monitoring, comprehension, and assessing abilities without teacher help. And externally driven, closely associated with teachers' instructional practices, student contributes from their own creativity what I can contribute more to it to enhance it. So creating an environment and awareness of the thinking, actively resolving contradictions and finding patterns. So in this, we are bridging the gap between the teacher and the student, exactly, with effective instructional practices transferring the cognitive load. So the teacher from the starting point, metacognitive model actively temperates students' structural scaffolding, where the scaffolding is removed, leaving a self-regulated student capable of navigating their own learning. So the teacher's metacognitive practices, if designed effectively, as a direct catalyst for the student regulation. So, summing up with the engine of conceptual coherence, contradiction, disequilibrium, accommodation, assimilation, and coherence, everything is managed with the self-regulation practice. So, part 2 mastery, exploration. First, you know exactly where you are as a teacher and as a student as well. Intervention, what is required, and apply it. So, we take you for the process with our diagnostic assessment. It's the mastery to subject. How Learn by Chapter effectively incorporates it. I've taken learning fractions of grade 5 mathematics. Student takes LBC assessment where identifying the learner understands the equivalent fraction but struggles with adding unlike fractions. The student watches short chapter-wise concept videos, listen to audio explanation, practice foundational questions. So the knowledge gaps are identified and misconceptions are uncovered. So Learn by Chapter provides an adaptive practice with visual hints, step-by-step solutions, memory techniques, increasingly challenging the competency-based questions, and it doubts instantly, helping the learner connect concepts independently. So the learner builds an understanding, develop problem-solving strategies, and gain confidence. And the learner solve real life world problems as well with CBSE competency questions and PISA-based style tasks with higher order thinking questions without teacher assistance, and the progress dashboards show mastery before moving to the next chapter. So the learner applies knowledge independently across different constructs and gain true mastery. So it doesn't simply teach a chapter, it identifies the learning gaps, personalizes the learning journey, and guides the student from understanding to independent mastery. I don't understand, I can solve it myself. That's what Learn by Chapter helps them through this journey and progress. So we don't leave unturned. So basically, with the physical education, also with the personal heuristics, with the visual learning and the structural integration, we are able to more comprehensively modify our metacognitive scaffolding techniques. So how we do that? Say, for example, from taking an example of force and motion, LBC conducts a diagnostic assessment to identify the misconceptions like heavier objects fall faster. Based on the result, it creates a personalized learning pathway, allowing the student to monitor the progress and revisit weekly concepts until the mastery is achieved. So, while learning photosynthesis, LBC provide concept maps, visual animation, guided audio summary, step-by-step explanation. So the student choose their learning method that works better for them, create their own understanding instead of memorizing facts. So the reflection is built in every chapter. How it's being modified or mapped with the structural integration is reflection is modified into every chapter, every single topic before moving ahead. So each assessment, LBC asks the student to review incorrect answers, understand why the mistakes are made, where the mistakes are made, receive targeted remediations, means helps interventions, and retry the similar questions again and again, such that the reflection, feedback, improvement become a part of every lesson, not as a separate activity. So Learn by Chapter embeds metacognition in every stage of learning, diagnosing misconception, personalizing understanding, and continuously reflecting on the progress. So students just learn more, they learn how they learn. So with that, the whole structure is, we have built the A4 pillar architecture with foundational designing expectation, cognitive scaffolding tools, active discourse and processing in the classroom situation, Then finally summing it up with the assessment and reflection. So this is how it is being done that we have seen. So moving ahead, since lack of time, I need to go on to the next. I want to really explain about Learn by Chapter courses as well. So basically, what we need to know our students much better. That is the first step. So with a clear cut cartography, we will be able to identify the strengths and weaknesses, and the student are made responsible for their own learning with performance characterization, exactly with the specific knowledge and the skills which are required, with confronting the preconceptions, means mapping it to what I know, what I've learned, what I know, what do I need to learn, and how I take it forward. So they make a room for the new model such that they master the standards. Basically, they excel in the process. So moving ahead, with cognitive scaffolding tools, exactly, with abstract representation, maps, explicit logical frameworks, etc., that which way that suits you better, that you can use exactly in your classroom situation. And with active discourse and processing, with the conceptual exploration, means as a teacher, student, talk chalk method, then peer-to-peer engineering, working then in a group activity with rigorous inquiry with the research base, and they come and present it in classroom, such by you were mapping it, you are closing, or you are having a very reciprocal teaching loop with a complex execution, etc. So moving ahead with the assessment, with the feedback and reflection, exactly making thinking visible with the feedback loop, exactly. Then correlating with the diagnostic tools and iterative polish. Instead of telling that you don't know this, you better learn this, we take them hand in hand such that they are able to successfully learn the subject. So with the self-regulated student in action, we are able to map the whole process of predictive analysis, resource allocation, error detection, process analysis, and objective calibration. So in this process, basically, we complete a total cognitive architecture of transferring the cognitive load into sustainable independence of self-regulated learning. So Learn by Chapter very successfully do it, following the structured learning cycle: diagnose, personalize, teach, practice, assess, reflect, and master. So the students are continuously guided to understand what they know, what they don't know, how to improve. By embedding with the metacognitive abilities throughout the learning process. Transfer the cognitive load. Initially, LBC provides a strong instructional support through AI explanation, worked examples, and guided practice. And scaffolding is progressively reduced, allowing students to involve increasingly working on complex problems independently, where teachers support AI guidance, guided practice that leads to independent mastery, such that what we are focusing on, that sustainable independence with self-regulation. At the end, the students can set their own personal learning goals, monitor the progress through mastery dashboards, identify and correct the misconceptions independently, revise weak areas using personalized recommendation, apply knowledge confidently in unfamiliar competency-based and real-world contexts. So they are able to learn without constant teacher dependence. So it's more kind of a digital learning platform. It's cognitive architecture for mastery by combining diagnostic, AI-powered personalization, scaffolding instruction, adaptive practice, continuous feedback, and reflective assessment. LBC systematically transfers responsibility for learning from the teacher to the learner, creating confident, self-regulatory, lifelong learning opportunities. Thereby, LBC's cognitive journey is that diagnose, personalize, learn, practice, receive feedback, reflect, master, apply it, and become an independent learner. So, because as we all know, if we think that the future of the classroom is written in the four walls of the classroom, it's definitely not so. It's not written in the four walls of the classroom. And every single place in a school is definitely can be used as a classroom learning environment, because every touch of the potter's hand goes, the teacher's hand goes into shaping the wet clay. And this kind of education creates a new generation of students who will explore new endeavors and become very innovative learners. As it is told in our Upanishad, Asatoma Satkame, Tamasoma Jyotirkame, Mrityoma Amritam Game, Santi, with all our metabolism strategies. So this is how we don't just teach, we teach beyond labels, we learn without limits. It's a time for change, it's time to be proactive, it's time to be sustainable. So why to wait now? Kindly enroll yourself as early as possible with Learn by Chapter and you will be able to benefit much better. Thank you. Now for the questions. How many of you, I'll start with the questions. How many of you have enrolled for Learn by Chapter? How many of you are new? Exactly. That's what I want to know. Those who have enrolled, you can show me thumbs up or you can you can put thumbs up in the chat box. Thumbs up in the chat box is much better because I can see it there. Thank you. And those who have not enrolled, kindly, please enroll yourself today and make the best use of it. Yes, Seema ma'am, you have raised your hand. Please, your question. We are open for questions now. Anybody who has got, if you raise your hand like this, then I understand that you've got a question. Instead, if you want to convey to me, you want to tell me that you have enrolled for Learn by Chapter, please show me thumbs up in the chat box. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And believe me, all these resources are free for you to use. You don't need to spend money. Just enroll yourself and start using them. Anybody who has got to say anything, please. Thank you. Usual questions. Thank you. Certificate link will be there in the chat box. You'll get your certificate as soon as the session is over. It will be emailed to you, definitely. And yeah, feedback form link will be there in the chat box. You can register your feedback there. I think Mr. Yash will help us with that. The feedback form and the link for the certificate. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anybody else? Those who have come new now, I thought I will just go to the website and show you exactly how we are there. Should we do that? Anybody who wants to see Learn by Chapter website here, you can tell me. We will go to the website and make you understand. Or otherwise, you can follow the link which Mr. Yash is going to share in the chat box. You can just enroll and you can explore. You can definitely explore. This is not only for teachers, believe me, it's for students as well. Even the students can enroll. Please ask your students to take part and thank you. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Thank you. So, yes, Mr. Yash has messaged in the chat box now. The certificate link is there. Registration link is there. Thank you. And we are now moving ahead from here with all your great support. We are going to start something new from next Saturday. It's kind of a paid webinar, actually, where now what's the difference between a paid webinar and here is that this session is only for 1 hour where we try to explain it about Learn by Chapter, how Learn by Chapter is very helpful and what are the different features and how it is really contributing to the teaching learning pathway exactly and what is required there, what are the problems. We take a problem statement and we address it. Normally, this is how we do that. And in the paid webinar, probably will come up for this Saturday or something, definitely. So this is definitely on course. So, and for that also certificate is provided and a lot of takeaways will be there. Say, for example, this presentation, today's presentation, because thank you, Mr. Yash. If you have any issues in related to login registration, kindly write to us, support@learnbychapter.com. So he will be able to support you. Yeah. So what's the difference is, say this presentation, today's presentation, if anybody would like to have it, you can always come for a paid webinar there. It will be there. and you will be able to use it. Otherwise, it will be as pictures, right? So this way we are coming up. And also for other people, we also have principal's handbook, which we are giving out to schools basically. And it has a lot of SOPs, standard operating procedures, what is required in the administration department, transport department, what are the policies and procedures which are actually required as task sheet, exactly. Time-wise task sheet for every day. So that is also being there, so that it's easy for you to incorporate it in your administration, in your school. Please go, you can convey this to your school people and take it forward and say that they can always make use of those. And these are available in Amazon. Mr. Yash can always, I think, help us with the Amazon link. This has been incorporated very recently. And the main thing is yeah, for all the information, if you feel that this information should not be lost, you can always become a member, or you can always join our WhatsApp group where the communications are very consistent and everybody, yes, thank you. And so you can join our webinar group and you can get all the information which is required, and you can always, you'll be on the track. Yes, certificate link is being shared in the chat box already. I will ask Mr. Yash to share it one more time for you. Definitely. Thank you so much. Yes, Saraswati ma'am. Your hands is up. Is it for enrolling to learn by chapter or is it a question? Okay, I take it for enrolling for learn by chapter. Thank you. So those who have not enrolled, please enroll for learn by chapter and you will be able to make use of it. Ma'am, link for today's PowerPoint. Yes, definitely. Our team will get back to you definitely on this and they will help you out. You can coordinate with our team. Thank you. Thank you so much. Feedback and attendance form is here. Thank you, Mr. Yash. Thank you so much. Thanks for your big support. Ma'am Saraswati. And Miss Praveena. You have already enrolled for Learn by Chapter. That's what I understand, since you have not spoken anything. Anybody who would like to speak anything or ask a question, you can. Otherwise, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yash. Mr. Yash, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. So if you want to know about us, we are there in Learn by Chapter website as well. Thank you. Under our team. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
ma'am.
so much. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Oh, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening.
When we enter the training and details now, they ask us for the resource person. Could you please give us the small introduction with your name?
From next session, I will do it, definitely. And this, I will, I can share my LinkedIn profile
Okay, ma'am.
in the chat box.
I couldn't see that link.
One. Thank you. It is there. You can check in Learn by Chapter website, our team page. It is there. We are all there as a team in Learn by Chapter website. You will get all informations there, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So today we have come to the end of the session. So next Sunday we will definitely meet. Meanwhile, I want everyone
Hello,
to...
ma'am.
Yes, yes, Ji. Miss Neha.
How to download certificate?
Ma'am, certificate will come to your email as soon as the session is over.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much. So until we meet again for next episode, next week, then we'll just wait for the information in the WhatsApp group and we'll stay connected. Thank you. Thank you once again. So on behalf of Learn by Chapter, I take this privilege to thank you all to come into our program, to attending our program. And definitely, we are there together in the journey of education. So thank you. Thank you all.
How to get the attendance link?